Good afternoon guys and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to MID handicap testing with 5 different drivers, 5 weeks up to Christmas. Last week you saw that we tried the Rogue. Overall Dave gave the Rogue a 6.5 out of 10. So wasn't sure, didn't mind the looks. He wasn't sure with the face sitting slightly closed. It wasn't something that he liked the look of. Again, sound wise, sound wasn't great for Dave. He couldn't understand, or he couldn't get the idea of whether he struck it well or not. So that's something that's big when testing drivers. What does it sound like? So, and then for performance wise, we gave it pretty good, because even the off-centered hits, the longest one he hit was off the toe and it went 40 yards past one that he thought he hit near the center. So doing exactly what it says on the tin. So Dave, what are we going for this week?
We'll go for the PXG because it's on the top.
PXG. So the PXG driver, guys, that is coming in at £129. So it's the cheapest one of the 5 drivers we've got. You'll also see another driver that's sold out, the mini driver, and this one is also sold out. So 2 drivers that have done exceptionally well. First of all, Dave, looks, it's a matte finish on the top. How does it look down at the ball?
I think it looks great. I really do. I like the little cross on the top. There's 2 different sorts of matte finish on it.
Yeah, so 2 different finishes. So Dave likes the X on the top because that gives him a little bit of knowing where to have the ball, gives him a good reference point. So look straight away, Dave, if you pulled that out and we didn't know it was a PXG, if we didn't know it was any driver, what would you say? What would you give it out of 10?
I think it's an 8. I think it's a really nice looking driver.
So nice looking driver. Again, does it feel as big as the Rogue?
No, it doesn't.
No?
It doesn't look as long at the back.
No, so it doesn't look as long at the back, so a little bit more like Dave's current driver, so that's probably something that Dave feels confident with. Does it sit shut or open, or does it sit okay?
It looks as though it sits completely neutral, although you can see a slight curve on the face, but that probably helps with the gear effect, I guess.
Exactly, so sits nice and neutral, so that's something that Dave did say obviously last week about the Rogue. So let's get straight into hitting it now. So the next thing we want to look at, Dave, is the sound. So how does this sound in comparison to the Rogue? The Rogue last week was a very dull sounding driver. Dave said it'd be hard for him to differentiate whether it was a good strike, bad strike, other than just using the ball flight through his normal routine. And getting out here and hitting it on a hole, guys, is probably giving Dave a little bit more pressure as opposed to hitting it on the driving range. So good test out here of on the golf course, how does it perform in the real environment. So a little bit low and left, so Dave's favourite shot. But sound wise, Dave, how did that sound?
A lot better than the Rogue.
A lot better than the Rogue, yeah? So sounded a lot more sound to that, Dave knows.
More of a springy sound, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, more of a springy sound, more like closer to something like a ping, where you can really tell whether it's come off the centre of the face. There we can just say, again, it was definitely Dave and not the club.
Usually is, Chris.
It usually is. So again, a good driver here. The cheapest one, like I say, that we have got in the bag. So second shot now. That's a great drive. So sound wise, again, happy with the sound?
I think the sound's lovely.
Thinks the sound's lovely. Again, can we see on the face where that's hit?
Well, we could, except I've just wiped it. But
oh, Dave's just wiped it, so we can't see where it's hit. But it was relatively close to the middle. We saw that was a great flight, just up the right-hand side, no curvature, and a nice sound that Dave enjoyed. So far, Dave, what are we thinking for rating of sound out of 10?
8.
8. So 8 out of 10. So we've got 2 8s so far. So again, this is things I know people will comment saying I don't really care about the sound, I don't really care about the looks.
The sound is kind of how it feels.
Correct. Sound is feel, so obviously you need to have a driver that you feel comfortable with, you like the sound of, you know why it's been hit, you also feel confidence in that sound. With the Rogue, Dave didn't feel confident because he didn't know how or where it had come off the face. So now to the big test, where Dave's going to hit one more. So Dave's going to hit the third and final shot, and we're going to rate the performance. So the first shot obviously was a poor shot from Dave, but that was Dave's fault more than anything. It wasn't the ball. It wasn't the club. It wasn't the club by any means. So good couple of practice swings. Let's see this, and then we're going to go and have a look at the distance before we get onto the TrackMan.
Again. That was right off the toe and it's gone straight.
This will be interesting, guys. We're going to film this up there, so we're going to see.
There.
We can see Dave struck it right off there, nearly missed it. But we're going to see up there how that has compared to the one Dave hit before that was well struck, and we're going to see how, performance-wise, off-centered hits, how it works. So interestingly enough here, obviously only around about 5 yards behind. It is closer to the middle because the off-centered hit brought it back to the centre, but only 5 to 10 yards in that. So with nearly missing the ball and striking it very well, the PXG has done exactly what it says. But let's have a look inside with the numbers and see how it compares. Okay guys, so the PXG, a good performer out on the golf course. Again, 129.99, so great value golf club. Numbers inside, obviously outside we saw that even the miss hit, there was only 5-10 yards in it. Obviously inside, Dave's got some good numbers, so 200, 210, 222, so average again, working out around about 210, so very similar to the M1.
Yeah.
A little bit more closer to the face, that one was a little bit low on the face as we have seen, still favouring towards the toe, but again, consistency wise, pretty good with that. No real outstanding much better than that, but obviously the worst struck ones there was 200 yards, which is 10 yards further than it would have been with the M1. Yeah. So taking into account shaft length, a little bit more speed, so his off-centered hits are going to go further. And Dave's got to think about that when we choose a driver. We want something that even the miss hits are going a bit further than the one he's got, because if he miss hits the M1 at the minute, shorter shaft, less speed, we're going to have longer into the hole, aren't we? So far, Dave, much better with that one?
It is. As I said earlier, I like the look of it. Hit it reasonably consistently out there, and the numbers in the studio, yeah, they're just about the same as the M1, but the bad ones are further than the M1's bad ones.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. So let's move on now, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to test the G425, so that's going to be on next week. We're going to get those numbers, compare them to Dave's M1, and try and find Dave a new driver.
Yeah.
So guys, hopefully you enjoyed that. Comment below if you have tried this driver out. Again, I know they are sold out at the moment, but a great value driver, does the job, gets good numbers for the price, guys. Something definitely to consider. So we'll see you again next week.
See you soon.